Have you ever noticed how birds don't panic about their next meal, or how flowers don't wrestle with the idea of blooming? So why is it that we, so deeply loved, so intentionally created, live every day like we're running out of time? This morning, I want to invite you into a thought, a gentle one, a truth that doesn't shout but whispers. You don't have to hustle to be loved. Let's go back to something beautifully simple. Birds don't make to-do lists. They don't worry about whether they've done enough to deserve the sunrise. And yet they're fed, everyday flowers. They don't stress about blooming in time or looking perfect for spring. They just open, quietly, naturally, trusting the sun to find them. And it always does. Now listen to what Jesus says in Matthew 6:26. Look at the birds of the air. Are you not much more valuable than they? Let that sink in. God feeds the birds. He clothes the fields with wildflowers. And then he turns to you and says, you're worth even more. So here's my question. If the birds don't perform to earn provision, why do we live like we have to perform to earn love? Pause. Reflective moment with gentle music. How many of us wake up already bracing ourselves for the day, trying to prove our worth in productivity, measuring our value by what we can accomplish, fix or carry? But God never asked for any of that. He never said, earn my love. He said, abide in it. There's a difference between existing and striving, and too often we confuse the two. We believe that if we don't do more, be more, fix more, we'll fall behind. We won't be enough, but that's not truth, that's pressure. And pressure isn't love. Illustration, real-life connection. A few months ago, I sat at a park, watching a group of birds dive and glide over a lake. No agenda, no plan, just being. And it struck me, what if I lived like that? Not without purpose, but without panic. What if faith looked less like racing and more like resting in who God says I already am? What if you could wake up tomorrow and not feel like your identity was on the line? What if love wasn't something to reach for, but something to return to? Gently persuasive. Call to breathe, to pause. Friend, it's okay to stop, to breathe, to let go of the weight that says, I have to hold it all together. Because God isn't asking you to be everything. He's asking you to be still enough to remember He already is. You don't need to earn what's already yours. You don't have to hustle for what grace gives freely. God's love isn't a race you have to win. It's a place you get to rest. Closing. Reflection. Leave with a gentle challenge. So maybe today's invitation isn't to do more, but to be more present, not to run ahead, but to sit beside the shepherd, to notice the birds, to admire the lilies, to remember that if God takes care of them, He'll take care of you too. You are already enough, already loved, already seen. You were never created to perform for God's love. You were created to live in it. So, what would today look like? If you believe that, take a deep breath. Let that question echo through your heart, and as the world rushes on, maybe today, you don't have to. So now that we've paused, now that we've dared to consider that maybe, just maybe, we don't need to strive for love, let's take the next step. Let's talk about letting go of control. You see, control is a tricky thing. It convinces us that we're safer with it, that we're wiser with it, that we'll be more loved or more secure if we just stay one step ahead. But the truth? It often leaves us exhausted. Think back to what Jesus said in Matthew 6:26-27. He didn't just tell us to notice the birds. He told us to really look at them. They don't worry, they don't stress, and still they're fed, they're free. And you? You are worth far more than they are. So why is it so hard to trust the one who says that? Maybe because we've spent so long tying our worth to what we do, what we produce, what we can control. We've been taught that value comes from hustle, that rest must be earned, that stillness looks too much like laziness, but that's not the gospel. Rest, friend, is not laziness. Rest is a declaration of trust. It's saying, no, God, I believe you are still working even when I'm not. And that's hard, I know, especially when life feels uncertain, when the future feels foggy. But that's exactly where faith begins. To breathe. Picture a bird in flight, wings open wide, carried by wind it cannot see. It doesn't flap with panic. It glides, Not because it knows the destination, but because it trusts the direction. What if your life could feel like that? Not out of control, but carried. Not unplanned, but held. In Exodus 14:14, God says something profound. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Let's sit with that for a second. These weren't words whispered in a quiet garden. They were spoken on the edge of chaos. The Israelites stood trapped, an army behind them, an ocean in front of them. Nowhere to run, no strategy left. And what does God say? Not try harder, not swim fast. He says be still, because stillness in God's presence is not weakness. It's confidence. It's the kind of strength that says, I don't have to fix this because I trust the one who can. Maybe you're in a moment like that right now. Maybe your heart feels surrounded by deadlines, by decisions, by grief, by pressure, and everything in you wants to move, to act, to push forward. But what if the miracle comes when you stop? What if the breakthrough isn't in the next move, but in the stillness before it? Stillness isn't inactivity. It's inner security. It's choosing to sit instead of scramble, to listen instead of hustle, to believe that God isn't waiting for your perfection. He's waiting for your surrender. I had to learn this the hard way. There was a season in my life where I confused being busy with being faithful. I thought if I wasn't constantly producing, I wasn't pleasing God, but I was burning out. I was tired, not just in my body, but in my soul. And that's when I heard it, that still, small voice. You don't have to do more. You just have to be with me. And it changed me. So I'm asking you now, what would it look like for you to stop carrying what you were never meant to control? What would it feel like to breathe again, to rest again, to believe again that God really does have you? Maybe today isn't about pushing forward. Maybe today is about pausing, laying it all down, letting go of the fear that says you must do more to be more, and letting the peace of God fight the battles you've been trying to win on your own. Let this moment be your stillness. Let it be enough, because He is, and He will never stop fighting for you. And so, we breathe, we let go, we learn to be still. But now comes the part many of us struggle with the most, trusting that peace will meet us there. Because stillness without trust, that just feels like waiting in the dark. But stillness with trust becomes sacred ground. Isaiah 26:3 says, You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast, because they trust in you. There it is, that word again. Trust, not strategy, not certainty, not control. Peace doesn't come from knowing everything will work out. It comes from knowing who holds it all. But let's be honest, trusting in God sounds beautiful until your mind is loud, until your thoughts spin like a carousel you can't step off, until 2 a.m. comes and all the what-ifs feel louder than hope. That's where peace becomes a choice, not a feeling, not a reward. A choice. To say, even in the chaos, God, I trust you. Sometimes I say it out loud. Sometimes I whisper it with every breath. You will keep me in peace because I trust in you. It's not magic. It's not a mantra. It's an anchor. When your emotions try to pull you under, these words can hold you steady. Now let's go deeper. Psalm 23 tells us, The Lord is my shepherd. He makes me lie down in green pastures. Did you catch that? He makes me lie down. Sometimes God doesn't wait for us to schedule rest. He just pulls the brake on our plans, slows us down with illness or burnout or a life detour we didn't see coming, and we resist. Because in our culture, rest often feels like weakness. But what if it's restoration? What if that unexpected slowdown in your life wasn't punishment, but a pasture? What if God wasn't trying to stop your progress? He was trying to heal your soul. Think about it. Green pastures aren't places of hustle. They're places of presence, of stillness, of quiet communion with the shepherd who knows exactly what we need. I remember a time when everything in my life came to a halt. Work stalled, health failed, and I kept asking God why, until one day in the silence I heard, Because you wouldn't stop unless I made you. That broke me, but it also freed me, because it reminded me God doesn't love me for what I produce. He loves me because I'm His. Maybe you've been there too. Maybe you're there right now, slowed down, off track, wondering if you're behind. But what if this is holy ground? What if this stillness is your sacred invitation to breathe again? Peace, friend, doesn't shout. It doesn't demand attention. It whispers. It moves slowly. It enters when we finally lay down the weight we were never meant to carry. So here's my question for you. Have you made room for peace lately? Or has your soul been too full of pressure? Maybe today isn't about doing anything new. Maybe it's just about remembering that God is your shepherd. And if He's leading, then even the pauses have a purpose. He's not asking you to figure everything out. He's asking you to lie down, to rest, to receive, to believe that even when you're not moving forward, He is still working. You see, in the kingdom of God, rest isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's the posture of someone who trusts their shepherd more than they trust their own pace. So today, if your heart is racing and your mind won't quiet, let these words find you. And so as we continue this journey through stillness and surrender, we come to one of the most challenging yet liberating truths of faith. Trusting the path, even when we can't see where it leads. Because let's be honest, most of us prefer a roadmap. We want the 5-year plan, the backup plan, and the emergency exit, all spelled out in bullet points. We want clarity. We want control. But Proverbs 3:5-6 doesn't start with a plan. It starts with a posture. Trust in the Lord. With all your heart, lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight. It's not a suggestion, it's a gentle command that calls us out of the need to know and into the freedom of trust. Notice how it says, with all your heart, not just the parts that are easy to surrender, not just on Sundays, not just when things make sense, but with all your heart, the confused parts, the scared parts, the what-if parts. And it continues, lean not on your own understanding. That's hard, isn't it? Because we love understanding. We crave it. We try to make sense of everything, from relationships to setbacks, from delayed dreams to detours. But faith doesn't always explain. Sometimes it just invites. It says, you don't have to know everything. You just have to know me. There was a season in my life where I couldn't see what was next. Every door felt shut. Every prayer felt quiet. And every step forward felt like walking through fog. But in that silence, I felt a whisper from God. You're not lost. You're being led. That changed everything for me, because maybe the fog isn't failure. Maybe it's mercy. Maybe God hides the next step not to punish us, but to protect us, to slow us down, to teach us how to follow, not just how to move. And maybe peace doesn't come when we figure it all out. Maybe it comes when we finally lay the map down and say, God, you lead, I'll follow. We live in a world obsessed with direction. Timelines, vision boards, progress charts. But sometimes the holiest thing you can do is stop trying to predict the path and simply walk it. Walk it with open hands. Walk it with soft faith. Walk it knowing that peace is not the reward for having everything planned. It's the fruit of trusting the planner. And here's something I've learned. When you give God your full heart, not your checklist, not your conditions, but your full surrendered heart, He doesn't just guide you, He goes before you, He clears the road. He makes the crooked places straight, but He doesn't always make them fast. And that's okay, because some of the most important things in life, the healing, the growing, the becoming, happen while you're waiting at the corner of not yet. And just trust me. So today maybe your invitation isn't to move faster. Maybe it's to breathe deeper, to pause, to whisper, God, I don't understand, but I'm still trusting you. And if that's all you can say right now, that's enough, because God never asked you to understand the path. He just asked you to walk it with Him. And He's already there, around the bend in the unknown, making a way where there was none. Let your trust today be total, not partial, not cautious, but wholehearted, and as you walk forward, not with all the answers, but with all your heart, may peace follow your steps like a shadow, not because you planned perfectly, but because you trusted deeply. Let today be the day you stop chasing control and start choosing trust. Because in the end, trust makes straighter paths than striving ever could. And so we arrive at the heart of it all, the moment where we stop asking, what's next? and instead we quietly receive the invitation to just exist. That may sound too simple, maybe even too passive, but in a world that constantly demands we perform, prove, and produce, choosing to simply be is one of the most radical acts of faith. You see, somewhere along the way, many of us started believing that our worth was measured by our output, that in order to be loved, we had to be impressive, that rest had to be earned. That stillness was laziness, and slowing down meant we were falling behind, but that's not the voice of God. That's the noise of pressure. And pressure is loud, isn't it? It shouts that you're not doing enough, that if you stop, you'll lose momentum. That rest is weakness, but peace is quieter. Peace whispers, you are already enough, not because of what you've done, but because of who He is. Friend, let this truth sink in deep today. God never asked you to carry it all. He never handed you the weight of everyone's expectations. He never expected you to have it all figured out all the time. He simply invited you to walk with Him, to be with Him, to trust Him. And trust doesn't always look like action. Sometimes it looks like breathing. Sometimes it looks like pausing. Sometimes it looks like choosing peace over panic, even when everything in you wants to reach for control again. Maybe this is the most sacred choice you can make today, to let go of what's not yours to hold, to trade anxiety for assurance, to stop trying to be everything for everyone and just be with God, because you're safe to rest. You are not loved for what you can do. You are loved because you are His. Let that sink in. Let it soften the parts of your heart that feel tired. Let it speak to the voice inside you that says, keep pushing, and gently remind it, no, not today. Today I choose peace. I know life feels urgent. There are deadlines, children, bills, people who need you. But even in all of that, God is not rushed. He walks at the pace of grace. He's not behind you with a stopwatch. He's beside you with open arms saying, you don't have to do it all, just stay close to me. There is a sacred kind of strength that rises when we stop striving and start trusting. A holy confidence that says, even when I do nothing, I am still deeply loved. That kind of faith changes how we live, how we breathe, how we show up in a world constantly telling us to run faster. So if you've been carrying too much, if your heart is heavy and your soul is worn, let this be the moment you finally exhale. Let this be your release. Say it out loud if you need to. God, I don't want to carry what you never asked me to, and then let go. Not because you failed, but because you're free. You were never designed to do life on your own strength. You were designed to abide, to walk hand in hand with a Father who carries what you can't. So today may you walk slower, breathe deeper, love softer, and trust harder. And above all else, may you remember this. You don't have to fix everything. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to prove a thing. You just have to exist right here in this moment with a heart open to grace. And let God do the rest. And now, we've come to the place where everything we've talked about, trust, stillness, peace, surrender, meets a sacred invitation, prayer. But not the kind of prayer filled with polished words and perfect timing. No, this is the quiet kind, the kind that begins not with eloquence, but with honesty. The kind that sounds like a deep breath after a long, weary day. So if you're ready, if your soul feels heavy from carrying too much, let's pray. Together, God, today, I come to you not with a list of accomplishments, not with a presentation of how put together I am, but with open hands, tired hands, hands that have tried to hold more than they were meant to. I lay it all down now, the control, the pressure to perform, the invisible expectations I've picked up along the way. I surrender. The need to be impressive, the urge to have every answer, the lie that says I have to keep it all together or I'll fall apart. Because you never asked me to carry that. You never demanded that I be enough for everyone. You only asked me to abide in you, to walk with you, to trust you. So today, I choose to release the illusion of control, to stop chasing perfection, to stop measuring my value by how much I've achieved or how productive I've been. I choose rest, not as an escape, but as worship. I choose stillness, not as laziness, but as trust. I trust that you are enough, and because you are, I don't have to be. When the world tells me to run faster, you whisper, be still. When the noise of comparison rises, you remind me, I've never left. And when I feel like I'm falling behind, you say, you're exactly where you need to be. So I breathe in your presence right now, and I let go of everything that's not mine to hold. I let go of the guilt for resting. I let go of the fear of disappointing others. I let go of the idea that I have to earn what you've already given freely. Your love. Let my surrender be my strength. Let my stillness become sacred. Let my life become less about performance and more about presence. God, I don't want to live another day out of pressure. I want to live out of peace. You are enough, Lord. You are constant when everything else feels unstable. You are faithful when I forget how to trust. You are strong when I am weak, so I anchor myself in you. Right now, I declare, I don't need to impress you. I don't need to earn your love. I don't need to hold up a perfect image, because I am already fully known and still fully loved. Let that truth settle deep into my soul. Let it rewire the lies. Let it reshape the way I show up in the world. May my resting be a declaration of faith. May my silence be a song of trust. May my surrender be an anthem of freedom. And when the world calls me back to hustle, remind me of this moment. Remind me that I was never meant to carry it all. Remind me that grace isn't something I earn. It's where I begin, so here I am, God. No masks, no pressure, no pretending, just me held healed home, amen. So now that we've surrendered, now that we've opened our hands and whispered, you are enough, God, let's ask a deeper question. What are you still carrying that God never asked you to? It's easy to let go in theory, but in practice, it's often subtle. It creeps in like a shadow, heavy but hidden, and before we know it, we're dragging burdens that don't belong in our arms at all. Maybe for you it's the pressure to be liked, the silent weight of trying to keep everyone happy, to meet expectations you never agreed to. Maybe it's the constant busyness, where every minute feels like it needs to be filled, scheduled, optimized. Or maybe it's guilt. Guilt for resting. Guilt for saying no. Guilt for not doing more, being more, proving more. But what if I told you God never asked you to carry those things? That voice inside telling you to hurry up, try harder, hold it all together. It's not His. Because His voice leads with peace, not pressure. It calls you to freedom, not frenzy. So let's pause here right now and let's ask ourselves, what am I carrying that God never gave me? Is it the need for approval, the fear of being misunderstood, the shame that lingers long after you've been forgiven? Whatever it is, you don't have to carry it one more step. Here's what I want you to do. Close your eyes for just a moment. Put your hand over your heart. Breathe in slowly, and as you exhale, say it out loud. Yes, actually say it. God, I release this. Maybe even name it. God, I release the fear of disappointing people. I release the guilt that whispers I'm not doing enough. I release the pressure to perform, because there is power in naming what no longer belongs, power in saying, this isn't mine anymore. And friend, don't underestimate the holiness of this moment, because freedom doesn't always come through striving. Sometimes it shows up in stillness. Sometimes it looks like journaling what's been crowding your soul. Sometimes it sounds like a quiet prayer you mutter in the car, in the kitchen, or in the quiet spaces between appointments. It doesn't have to be dramatic to be divine. You don't have to collapse to the floor to be free. You just have to choose to let go. Because holding on will always cost you more than laying it down. Letting go is not weakness. It's wisdom. It's saying, I trust you, God, more than I trust my own control. And that choice, that shift from striving to surrender, is where freedom begins. So take one more breath and ask yourself honestly, what have I been carrying that's not mine? What if today was the day I set it down? Not tomorrow, not when it gets easier, but now, because grace is here. Not someday in the future, right now, in this breath, in this moment. In the quiet courage it takes to say, I don't have to carry this anymore. Let God be the one to hold what's been holding you back. Let peace replace the pressure. Let stillness carry you further than striving ever could. And remember, freedom isn't found in finally being enough. It's found in knowing you already are. And now, as we come to the end of this journey together, I want to leave you with one final reminder, one that I hope finds its way deep into the hidden corners of your heart. You are not behind. You are. Not forgotten. You are held. I know it may not always feel that way. You look around and see others moving faster, achieving more, always one step ahead. And maybe somewhere deep down you've started to believe the lie that you've missed it. Missed your moment, missed your calling, missed your chance. But let me tell you the truth. God does not operate on our timelines. He's not checking your calendar or comparing your progress. He's looking at your heart, and he sees you right where you are, fully known, fully loved. There is no divine stopwatch ticking down in heaven. There's just grace. Grace for today. Grace for this breath. Grace that invites you to stop running and simply rest, not surface level. Rest. Not just a night off kind of rest, but deep soul rest. The kind that doesn't just ease your body but unburdens your spirit. The kind that reaches into your mind and silences the noise. The kind that says, you don't have to earn my love, you already have it. So today choose rest, not because everything is finished, not because the world suddenly stopped spinning, but because you know now that you were never meant to carry it all. And as you receive that rest, don't keep it to yourself. You see, there are people in your life right now who are carrying more than they should. People smiling on the outside but silently breaking on the inside. People who are convinced that strength means never stopping, never admitting weakness, never resting. But what if your story could be their invitation? What if your decision to rest, really rest, becomes a permission slip for someone else to do the same? What if your vulnerability creates space for their healing? Friend, this message was never just for you. It's for the weary mom who feels invisible. It's for the overworked dad who can't remember the last time he exhaled. It's for the college student drowning in pressure. It's for the retiree wondering if their purpose has passed. It's for every soul that's tired of holding it, all together. So don't be afraid to share this, to send it to someone you love, to post it where others can see it, to speak the words you wish someone had said to you a long time ago. You don't have to carry this alone. You were never meant to. Let your life echo that truth. Let the way you rest become a gentle rebellion against the chaos of this world. Let it be your declaration that peace is possible, that stillness is sacred, that being is enough. You're not falling behind. You're not lost in the shuffle. You're walking slowly and steadily in grace. And grace is never late, so breathe, be, and let that be more than enough. Because in God's hands, it always is. And as we bring this journey to a close, I want to leave you with something simple yet sacred. A truth that isn't loud but steady, not rushed but rooted. Let the peace of Christ anchor your day, not just in the quiet morning moments, not just in prayer or worship, but in the in-between, in the ordinary, in traffic, in meetings, in dishes, hand laundry, in silence and in chaos, because his peace is not a pause button. It's a presence that walks with you, breathes with you, covers you. It steadies your heart when emotions spiral. It slows your breath when anxiety creeps in. It becomes the foundation beneath your feet when the ground feels uncertain. And friend, don't miss this. Rest isn't weakness, it's holy. It's a bold declaration that says, I trust you, God, more than I trust my pace. In a world that equates busyness with worth, rest becomes an act of resistance. It tells the world, I am not defined by what I do, but by who I belong to. It's you saying, I don't need to strive for love. I'm already loved. Think about that. Every time you pause to breathe, every time you choose peace over panic, every time you turn down the noise and tune in to God's presence, you are living out that trust. You are declaring that He is God, and you are not. And that's the most freeing truth of all. So as you step into whatever today holds, carry this with you. You don't have to figure it all out. You don't have to hold it all together. You don't have to be all things to all people. You are not called to fix everything. You are invited to be, just exist, just be present. Just let grace hold the parts of you that feel frayed or unfinished, and let Him do the rest, because He will. He always does. He sees what you carry. even when no one else does. He meets you in stillness, not performance, and his presence fills in every gap your strength cannot. So rest, not as a break from life, but as a return to it, a return to what matters, a return to your source. Let peace guide you, let trust ground you, let rest restore you, and if you ever forget this sacred rhythm, this invitation to be instead of do, just come back to this, just exist, and let him do the rest.